All of the nations around Israel came together to form a huge army and to go to war with the Israelites. Gideon was Israel's leader, and he assembled an army of 32,000 fighters. But God told Gideon that was too many. Gideon stood in front of his troops and said, "If you're afraid to go to war, then you can go home." And 22,000 of them said, "See ya." But God said, "There are still too many." Gideon sent another 9,700 men home, leaving only 300 to fight a super army of thousands. God was up to something. Gideon's 300 men surrounded the enemy camp and grabbed their swords. No, wait, not swords. They were armed with flamethrowers. Not really. They were actually armed with, ready for this, trumpets. All at once, they blasted their trumpets, and the enemy soldiers got so confused that they started fighting each other. God had a plan. One that didn't look quite right at first, but ended up in victory. Have you ever watched an artist draw something? Often, it's hard to tell what they're doing until they've nearly finished. You see shapes and outlines that don't really look like anything you recognize. But if you keep watching, you start to figure out what's happening. And when the drawing is finished, you see what the artist was up to all along. Here's some great news. God is up to something in your life. He has a picture in mind of the person He wants you to be. The Bible teaches us to love like Jesus, have an attitude like Jesus, and to follow His directions. So, even though we don't know exactly what God's picture for your life looks like, we do know that it involves growing closer to Jesus and becoming a lot more like Him. God already sees the big picture of what you have the potential to become. And the more you follow Jesus, the more you'll start to see what that picture looks like.